is in great shape. It's the recorded music industry that's having trouble adjusting.
So then, do you see that shift to online on demand taking over?
Yes, everything is on demand. I want what I want, wherever I happen to be, at whatever time of day, on whatever platform, or whatever device I happen to have in my hand. That's the expectation of the audience. Now, when you have somebody who's 10 or 12, look at my nephew, he's 10 or 12 years old, I guess I should know, but I don't. But he will have grown up in a world that has always had the internet. He's always been able to go online to get something, either pay for it or more often for free. That behavior is ingrained, and he's going to grow older with the expectation of being able to carry that behavior through into adulthood. The established infrastructure of the music industry needs to be able to serve that kind of customer, because in 5 or 7 years, he's going to be the person that they're targeting.
How do you feel about fans being unable to stream the on-demand archives due to licensing issues?
I'm really annoyed at that. I should explain what this means. When you have a radio station, you have to pay for the privilege of playing someone else's music so that you can make money as part of your broadcast business model. So we pay a series of fees, so can CMRRA neighboring rights, NRCC, SODRA. We pay these fees, which is a percentage of the gross revenue that the radio station takes in through advertising. So it doesn't matter, so that fee goes up and down. The more successful the radio station is, the more money we pay to these performing rights organizations, who then take the money and distribute it to artists. Great. With the rules for copyright for the online world, you pay per listener, per song. So the more people you have listening, the more it costs per song for you to actually have that stream. If you were to take that payment model and apply it to broadcast radio, every radio station in North America would be broke within a month, because it's so much more onerous. So this has slowed down the lack of a blanket broadcast license for on-demand distribution is stunting the growth of internet radio, all forms of internet radio, whether it be live or not live. If you stream something live and it's a simulcast with your over-the-air stream, that's covered, that's fine. It's the on-demand stuff.
Right.
And that's, I think it's one of the biggest things that's facing the industry on both sides of the border, is we gotta come up with a new payment scheme, because the reason we don't stream ongoing history shows anymore is because we can't afford it. The reporting takes forever to find out how many people were listening to each individual song at what time of day and where they were. I mean, can you just imagine what that's involved? What's involved in that? And then they want so much per listener. Forget it. And they won't even, it's the labels and the publishers, they won't even sign a deal. They won't even, they won't even begin to discuss signing a deal until we pay them $25,000 each up front. Not gonna happen. So we're still.
On a more happier note, in April 2007, you created your own word, bandology.
Yes, I did.
And which you defined as the study of the origins of band names.
Yes.
So how did you go about creating this word?
Well, I was going to do another ongoing history show on band names. People seem to like, where do you get band names from? Great. So I started looking up. There had to be a term for the study of this sort of thing. So there was etymology, which is the study of the origins of words. And there was another word that was the study of place names, the origins of place names, but there didn't seem to be a name for the study of the origins of band names. So I called a linguistics expert. Her name is Dr. Sheila Emberton. She's at York University. And she said, that's a very good question. I don't know. Let me get back to you. So she is plugged into this weird subculture of people who study word origins and make up words. And through a series of connections, I ended up with talking to this guy in Sausalito, California, who runs a company who comes up with brand names. He's the guy who thought that, you know, Saturn has an SUV, we're going to call it the Saturn View. This thing that cleans dust off the floor, let's call it a Swiffer. And this handheld device that you can send email on, let's call it a BlackBerry. So it was that guy. So we had an email conversation going back and forth, and we went back to, you know, etymology and the idea of, you know, what prefixes and suffixes and everything a word should have. And everybody came to the conclusion the word should be bandology. Great! And it's got a pedigree, we've got experts. We put it up on Wikipedia, and they immediately took it down. So it has become my goal in life to get a word to the Oxford English Dictionary.
I read that, yes.
Based on the fact that, what, it's a legitimate thing. English is a living, breathing language. Here's a new word.
So do you feel in the past couple of years that it's been catching on?
No. I've got to push that a little bit harder. I really do.
What's your favorite band name story?
My favorite band name story. Okay, let me think. There's so many. Just trying to think of a really good one. Let's come back to that, and I'll take a pass, and we'll come back to it. Let me think about it.
Okay. I just wanted to travel back in time, actually, for this next question. On April 5th, 1994, you had to tell Toronto that Kurt Cobain had killed himself.
Yep.
What was going through your mind just before you went on air?
In all honesty, this is this generation's JFK moment. At the time, you guys wouldn't remember, but at the time, Kurt Cobain was the biggest rock star in the world. He had changed music. That was the sense. He, with Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and all these bands that came in the early 90s, I mean, kicking out all the classic rock bands that were dominating radio and dominating concert tours, kicking out those horrible hair metal bands that had gone for the power ballad. This was new and fresh and angry music made by Generation X for Generation X. And it happened so fast, it hit so hard. People stopped going to dance clubs to listen to, you know, like boom, boom, boom music, and they were dancing to Tool and Ministry and Blur and Oasis, and like, what happened here? It was just a huge sea change. And then there was a drama going on because there had been the refusal to do the Lollapalooza tour that summer. There had been the overdose in Rome. There had been all the histrionics with Courtney Love. So you could almost feel that something was going to happen. And when it did, nobody was really surprised. But at the same time, it was like, oh crap, this party's over. And we got to get around to the business of growing up. Because this whole thing began to hit about 1990. So there was 4 years that were, it seemed like every week there was a cool new band coming out. And it went up and up and up, and record sales for bands like Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and Ministry and the Red Hot Chili Peppers, up and up and up. And then April 1994 comes along, and you can feel that, okay, the party's done. And for the next 18 months, it went like this. And then by the time we got into 1996, Spice Girls, Britney Spears, the boy bands were starting to come out, and rock had devolved into Limp Bizkit. And this whole, rap rock hybrid was just pure testosterone, pure aggression, and not very interesting for a very large number of people. And it was a bad time.
I know you're doing an anniversary show this Sunday for Kurt Cobain and stuff. It's 15 years now. How do you keep shows like that? Because I know you do them every year. How do you keep them fresh and innovative?
Well, we did them. How many have we done? Okay, the week after he died, so that's one. We did the 1 year anniversary. We did 5 years. We did 10 years. Now we're doing 15 years. The trick is to take a different tack each time. I mean, you can't. There's no point in telling the story again. So the angle this time is 15 years later. Is Kurt Cobain and Nirvana still relevant? What does it mean? What is the legacy? To put it another way, if this were 1994 again, and you were 22 years old and you were